Hey everybody, hi, how's it going? I can see people coming in. I had to get all my stuff put together and get ready for you. Oh, I am so ready for tonight or this afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. I see people all over South Dakota. Hey, tea lover. Ed Chuft is back from Michigan. Jill Alex, Massachusetts. Nori's here. Dana's here. It's not the middle of the night in Australia right now, which is great. Felt Like Sweets is here. Quilting Nancy is here. I saw Carol Hempel in the chat. Bit Palumbo. I don't want to miss anybody. Nori. Okay, I think I said Nori. Myra couldn't hear any music, really? Interesting. But the music, people could hear. That did play though, right? I figured out the music. I hope. I think it did. We'll figure it out. Log Cabin Girl's back. Robin's Nest. Hey, Robin. Bonnie, Cynthia, Brendan, Jessica, D. Marie. I think you're back. You were here last time, weren't you? I'm trying to keep everybody straight. Sue John. Oh, yeah, okay, so you could hear the music. That's good. Susan's here. Susan is cleaning the dust fuzzies from her machine and putting in a new needle plus some oil. Excellent sewing machine maintenance. I'm very proud of you. Carol Hempel, Civvy Mac in the house. And who knows who else? Who knows who else will come tonight? We don't know. We're going to find out. Let's see. Let me see. There's so much to do. Okay. Let me see. Well, first of all, I thank you all for coming. It's great. I wanted to tell you that last Saturday, this past week on the Tuesday and Thursday stream, I was making some noise about, I didn't like my stream on Saturday last week. And, you all were like, it was fine, and it was fine. But I learned something last week, and that is that I need to have a nap because it's 10 p.m. here in London. So I took a little nap earlier this evening, and I ate a lot of pizza, and then I took a nap, so I really slept well. And then and I made some phone calls and did some scrambling around. Hey Mark, oh my gosh, okay Mark, I'm gonna talk about you in just a minute. Oh, this is a big deal. I'm so glad you're here, Mark. This is fantastic. Okay. So I worked on Twitch today too. I figured out the music thing, and what else was I doing today? So much. I was going back into YouTube and commenting, replying to people's comments. I'm so bad at doing that stuff. But I'm getting better, because I really want that. I want to do that. I want to talk to you. And that's how Mark comes into this thing. So Mark A. Wesley, maybe it's Mark A. Wesley, but I think it's probably Mark. Yeah, okay, it's Mark. You said so. He said about the Twitch stream, he watched the replay on YouTube because all the shows get recorded by Twitch and then I upload them right away to YouTube. And so I'm going through some comments, trying to reply to I'm going to reply to everything, every comment, unless it's spam. And Mark Wesley had a comment. He said, I love this Twitch show. It's like a video magazine. And I was like, wow, that's so great. I think it's really brilliant. I think that is kind of what this is like, this Twitch show. And I just love that. I love magazines. I love magazines so much. And that, Mark, is just it's a really interesting perspective on this. And I think you're really onto something. So everyone, you've heard it here first. It's on record. A video magazine. It came from Mark. Mark, I thank you because I think it's really good. If you're here for the first time, this is a video magazine. It's a show where we look at quilts and we dive into topics related to quilts. Well, quilts lead us to all kinds of things. And so we touch on lots of topics because we start with quilts and we just sort of let my brain and my fingers do the walking, and we see what we find in the wild, wonderful world of quilts. And I figured out too today, or I learned that I'll be able to stream from Twitch to YouTube and Facebook simultaneously soon. I can't do it now. I don't think I mentioned this to you last time. I'm not sure, but we don't have the internet bandwidth yet for me to take that on. The show won't change. If you're here in Twitch, it'll be the same. I don't know how it works. It's not like I'm going to be checking like 3 different platforms. But hey, Marianne. Hey, Quilting Politic. Yes. Tea Lover, Homesmaker, Amanda. Hey, Austin. Nancy, everybody's here. This is good. This is very good. The show won't change, but apparently I can stream to all of those platforms at once, which is exciting. And a little daunting, but not till the internet gets super powered. Anyway, so yeah, we talk about quilts, we bounce around. I have got some really cool stuff pulled up for you tonight, including, the picture that you see on my desktop there. We always, when the meat of the show begins, we start by talking about the quilt or the quilt object that I have pulled up on my screen. And I'll tell you what I know about it. And if you know things about it, you can jump in and tell me what you know about it, or you can point me to other things, right, that we should look at sometime on this show, because I love the Twitch thing. I love this because it's interactive. Hey, Kink and Foe. There's I don't know the internet terms. The broadband, I don't even really know what broadband actually means. But I do know that in terms of broadcasting to different platforms, it just takes a huge amount of bandwidth, which sounds like, broadband bandwidth, probably related, right? And so that the internet's going to get better here soon, like within the next week or so, couple weeks. But until then, it may be fine to broadcast to all those different platforms. But until then, it's not going to work. Sometimes we have to wait for things to buffer around here sometimes. I hope that's not going to happen. We are going to watch some video tonight, so I hope that we're okay. Anyway, I'm so excited to be here. I'm just kind of like, well, I do have chips. I have balsamic vinegar, sea salt and balsamic vinegar. My favorite, right? They're my favorite. And I waited so long to have a glass of wine, so I have one later. The deal is that you are welcome to chat in the chat, and I hope you do, but you don't have to. You can just hang out and listen and look. And if you want to say hi, we would love to say hi to you. This group of people who's been here with me building this thing for the past 2 months, they're amazing. There are subscriptions and things. I'm working on like a subscription package kind of thing, but the show is always free. It's free, period. If you subscribe at the tier 1 level for $4.99 a month, you don't have to watch ads. So if you do that, that'd be great. That would be great. I would love for you to subscribe. I get like a penny if you do. Not quite. It's not quite that bad, but yeah, I don't like watching ads, so I would probably do that, and maybe you should do it too. That'd be great. So let's see. I've got some business. We're already in the business because I had to tell you about Mark's brilliant thing about the video magazine. And Cynthia, I don't know about being a wonderful journalist. I'm a decent editor. I will claim that. Journalist, I don't know about that. Thank you, but I think my skills as an editor are if this is a video magazine, then my skills as an editor are playing into it, right? Hopefully are gonna be useful here. Pepper's got Ritz chips. Ritz crisps. Do you mean like there's the Ritz cracker and then like there's probably like a harder, crunchier version of Ritz, right? That sounds pretty good. Scottish tea. Scottish morn tea lover. You really are a tea lover. You really are. I'm going to take a breath and calm down. Just get excited. I'm going to go through the business. and then we're going to talk about this and about all kinds of things, okay, that I've got sort of queued up. Okay, business. Here's the business. Mark, Video Magazine. That's the business. I set up an email. I went to my little email provider and I made a new email, and it's twitch@maryfons.com. So my normal email is mary@maryfons.com. But if you have Twitch related things like suggestions or I don't know. I mean, I don't know why you would email twitch@maryfons.com, but you should. I mean, if you have a good reason to, or if you just, I don't know why, but you could. And then maybe later when it's like a tip line, like a Twitch tip line. So if you want me to look at something, or you find an article, Lee, you're great. You're tipping me off cool stuff. And so use twitch@maryfons.com, because I think that makes sense. Because then I don't have to separate like the Twitch stuff from my like accountant's email, So twitch@maryfons.com. That's the email for this show. It's getting very serious. It feels serious. Oh, hang on. Oh, I didn't turn on my light. Okay. That's what's going on. I had to turn on my light. Okay, let's see. Nori is ordering a burger. Bang. Love that. Oh no. Oh, Myra. Okay, all you get is buffering, no sound. Now, okay, Nori, that you couldn't hear the music before. Carol, you're ridiculous. God, sorry. Oh God, it doesn't have the thing on it, that lampshade. It's missing a thing. And so it always does that. It always cocks to the side. It's terrible. It's terrible. Myra, I think it may be on your side, because I think usually I can see I can usually see that buffering too. And so far, we're okay. So thank you, Dee Marie, for helping out. So yeah, email. Okay, business. I did the shout out to Mark. Check. I did the email. Check. Now I want to show you a textile. This was given to me by Kay Walsh, who works with Jenny Smith, the lovely lady I'm doing the Bronte workshop with at Quilt Folk on October 16th and 17th. Yikes, that's really coming up. Quiltfolk.com, click workshops. Many people are coming to this workshop. It's going to be very cool. The Bronte sisters, the famous novelists, made a quilt. Just one, as far as we know, and it's amazing, and it's very old, and I got to see it because we're going to teach a class and give you history and context and talk about literature, and we're going to do this workshop through Quilt Folk. So October 16th and 17th, 6 hours total over those 2 days, and Jenny's going to teach you how to make elements of the quilt, the center medallion part, and I'm going to give you some, like a little bit of history and culture about quilts made at that time in the first half of the 19th century. And then, you'll see the quilt yourself, because we went to Yorkshire last weekend, or I met Jenny and Kay up there, and Kay gave me this. So look at this. So the Brontes lived in Haworth. Hang on. And England, especially when you head up to the north parts, lots of textile manufacturing, right? So this was woven in Haworth, but look what it says here. Hang on. Look. It's so great. It says the Bronte tweed. Can you see that? The Bronte tweed. Oh, it smells really good. It smells like Yorkshire. It smells great. So I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. It is cool, right? I just don't know. It's just so lovely she gave that to me. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to wrap it around myself sometimes, maybe on this show, because fall has come to London. It really has. Today was rainy. rainy all day. That helped me take a nap. Yes, I can look like a little wastrel in the moors, running along the moor, looking for Heathcliff, right? Oh, well, no, it wouldn't be like this. It wouldn't be like this. When I was on the moor last weekend, it was so windy. It's really windy up there. The moors are just like in the books, you know, they're wild and beautiful, and it's a really interesting place. I mean, the landscape, it'll just take your breath away. But there is something really kind of, I don't want to say frightening about the moors, but when I talked to Jenny, I was like, did you hike the moor, and did you go around? And she said, yes, we, as children, we would do hikes and things like that, but we wouldn't go that far because you don't want to get lost out there. You don't want to get lost out on the moors, and it's really interesting. All the vegetation is very kind of thick. Like I thought the trees and some of the scrub brush looked kind of like kale, very thick like that, because the wind is really blowing up there, and the plants have to be hardy and stick to the ground and stay rooted. So yeah, it's really, really great. So I have my Bronte tweed to protect me against the elements. Yeah, and so you should do that. Okay, Bronte tweed. Check. Hope to see you at the workshop. It'll be really fun. Okay, that I'm going to save for later. Just a little promotional thing. I've added emotes. I added, for subscribers, you now have like a heart plus emote that you can use in the chat. Heathcliff was awful, Mark. He was terrible. He was a villain. I didn't know. I hadn't read Wuthering Heights ever. He was a very bad man. So you can use a heart plus emote if you want, and you can also, I think there's a little church emote. I tried to add them today. That was another thing that I did. Okay, I've been talking a lot about things. Let's move along. There's always stuff we can talk about, but let's talk about quilts. I think it's high time. Okay. So, there is an exhibit coming up in very soon, in Boston. And this exhibit it's a big deal. It's called Fabric of a Nation. And we're going to look at some quilts. We're going to look at information about that show. But this is an object that's in the show, Fabric of a Nation. And so we'll read more about that show in just a second. But when I was reading about this exhibit coming up, I mean, it opens next week, I think, in Boston at the Museum of Fine Arts. And hey, there are those emotes. Look, Brendan used them. So if you're a subscriber, you can use the Heart Plus, the church, for Quilt Church, and then that little smiley face. Oh, Jill is 13 miles from Boston. You are a lucky woman. This object is in the show, and so it's made by Virginia E. Jacobs. It was made in 1987. It's machine pieced and quilted cottons and blends, okay? And she used a latex balloon as the armature for this, right? So there was a balloon. I don't know if it's still there. I don't know. She probably popped it. I don't know how sculptors work, and I don't know how to make something like this, but it's pretty magnificent. It's something, when I saw it, I was so happy to see this beautiful photograph of it, because I saw it a long time ago on a magazine cover. There, you see? So this is this is obviously the Smithsonian, okay, from 1987. And the caption down there at the bottom says, "After a folksy, countrified past, quilts are now having a ball as costly objets d'art." And so when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's that cool quilt ball from the Smithsonian, the cover of the Smithsonian. And what's so good about having this cover here from my archives, what's so good about seeing this in relation to the actual piece by Virginia E. Jacobs. Oh, by the way, it's called Krakow Kabuki Waltz. Krakow Kabuki Waltz. Brilliant. It's huge. And it's nice to be able to see that it's huge, right? It's 84 inches in diameter, which isn't that like 7 feet or something? It's really big. And so that's in this show. I know it's so much bigger, right, Jessica? It's huge. So that's, and then here I dug up an artist statement. I don't know much more about Virginia E. Jacobs. I can tell you though that there's a book already, Fabric of a Nation. The Museum of Fine Arts has created a book for the exhibit, and I just ordered it on Amazon.co.uk, and it's hardcover, not cheap, but I mean, like I'm not gonna buy it, right? Like I'm not gonna buy it. And there's a full page about this piece and Virginia. I tried to. It's on Amazon. If you go to Amazon and put in Fabric of a Nation, they give you a few samples pages, and I tried to get that picture that they have of this work and then the text they have about it. I tried to copy it and paste it, but it was too blurry. I was like, I want to read that to everybody tonight, but I couldn't. Darn it. But there's a lot more about this piece in that book that I don't think it said pre-order. I think you can order it and then it'll just ship, but I don't know for sure. Hey, Holmesmaker. Myra, oh no. It'll happen, Myra. It'll just come through. The sound will just come through. We have faith. We're in church, are we not? We're in church. I can pray. Pray for Myra's sound. Sorry. So this is what Virginia E. Jacobs says about this piece. And this I found on the Quilt National website because in 1987, this work won an award at Quilt National for most innovative use of the medium. I think it was a home run, right? I mean, what else did somebody do that year? They didn't use a balloon, I bet. Okay, here's Virginia E. Jacobs' artist statement about this piece from Quilt National 1987. This work developed out of my interest in the sculptural possibilities in quilting. The work honors two of the visual cultures I find most colorful and graphically inspiring. It's called Krakow Kabuki Waltz, right? Okay. I am concerned with the rhythms created by the repetition of colors and patterns. I want the viewer to become spatially involved with my work as he or she moves around it. I also just wanted to make something absolutely outrageous. That's awesome. That's so great. Absolutely outrageous, indeed. Indeed. Okay. So that's the desktop picture today. But I have another picture for you. I have another quilt picture for you because I love you. Yes, I do. And this this is what I want to show you now. I'll just leave that right there for you. I'll just leave that right there for you. I'll have a sip of my wine and just, I mean, has there been a better picture that has ever been taken of anything? I don't think so. It's a dog on a quilt on a porch. And I have just noticed, I swear, I have just noticed, because I've never looked at this picture so large, there is a bird cage in the right-hand side, and I think there's a bird in it. Right? I mean, I mean, that I didn't even see that. I don't even need that, but that's very interesting, right? But look at that pup. He's so sweet, or she's so sweet, just smiling away on a crazy quilt. That is a posed picture. Someone, was like, I am going to take a picture of my dog on my quilt. Because that's not an accident. So, this picture does not belong to me. This picture belongs to my friend Jonathan Holstein. He has an extraordinary archive of quilts and photographs from days of old. And I mean, we need to make a book of them because they're magic. I mean, I will show you more of them. There's hundreds of them. Some of them will just blow you away, right? Like this one is just precious, priceless. Yeah, I know. And but some of them, I mean, there's people sort of, kissing, making out on a quilt, like, in 1940 or something. And then you'll have like an old farmer and his wife, standing next to their quilt. And I have a theory. Maybe I should save my theory about quilts and photographs, but I'll mention it now and then we can come back to it when we look at some of those photographs where people are standing in front of a quilt. There's many, many photos that he has and many photos that I've seen that I have. I have a few pictures too, old pictures that you find them in, flea markets, and you find them in, vintage stores and things, and sometimes on eBay too. You can find them on eBay as well. Sometimes they're quite expensive, but oftentimes they're not. Anyway, it's kind of a needle in a haystack kind of thing. But if you're committed and you have a collection going, you can spend a long time finding just what you want. You collect something. So a lot of times, there will be people standing in front of their quilt for their portrait, a family portrait. Sometimes you'll see kind of like not a cupcake photo, but a young girl standing alone, looking sort of, winsome in front of the quilt. And I'm talking about pictures from, black and white photos from like photography kind of became like a thing, like 1870. Photography started doing stuff in the world and in America, and there would be photographers who would go around to towns with their camera and take pictures of people before there were photo studios and things. Photography history, fascinating. And so these pictures of these people standing in front of their quilt, and I was looking at so many of them, and at one point I thought to myself, well, what is, like, why are they doing that? And I was like, well, it's because quilts are beautiful, and it's a beautiful backdrop for their picture. And that got me thinking, it's funny, this is really relevant to the stuff I want to talk about tonight. It got me thinking that, like, if the argument about quilts, quilts being art or not, if that's this discussion we have so often, and we do, isn't the fact that people put quilts behind them for their portraits, for these very important, rare, usually for a long time, portraits of themselves. I mean, the quilt was the backdrop because it's beautiful, like, art, right? Like it's also big, okay? It's a big thing, but it's beautiful, and it provides this lovely artistic background for a photograph. And so I thought, well, they used it as art at that time, don't you think? I think there's a case to be made, and there's more to think about in all of that, but oh no, Nancy, you're having trouble streaming tonight. Well, so far I'm not having trouble on my end, which is not to say that it isn't happening, if there is, oh yeah, okay, well, we'll keep trying, and if I see any buffering or I see any slowing down, I will let you all know, because I don't want you to think it's your problem if it's mine. So far so good. Yeah. yeah, so that's my theory about or it's something to think about in terms of, the visual, value of a quilt, and whether or not people, it's like people never hung their quilts on the wall, right? We say that, I say that a lot, that before the advent of the art quilt in the second half of the 20th century, quilts were not made for the wall, right? I say it all the time, but actually there is this particular instance where quilts were absolutely hung up. They were taken off a bed and hung up, as a background, as art for this important family portrait. And I just think that's cool. Oh, good. Okay, your wife commented, I have a soothing voice. That's good. That's good. It's funny. I actually thought, do you all know what ASMR is? I have this fancy microphone. Okay. And I thought about doing quilting ASMR videos. So it would be like, okay, now pick up your thimble and your sewing needle and thread your needle and take a stitch. Did it work? I don't know. I mean, look, ASMR, I have used ASMR videos to fall asleep before. You put in the headphones and it's weird. I don't know. It's not weird. It's great. It's helped me fall asleep. There's this one girl on YouTube that is she can help me fall asleep sometimes. But but there's no sewing. There's no quilting. There's no ASMR for quilters. So maybe that's my next project. No, there's like a equal amount of do not do that and please do that. So I don't know. I'll flip a coin. It's great. Oh, I'm so glad to be with you tonight. It does take me a second to calm down. It really does. That's always true in lots of ways, in many situations. But it troubles me because I wouldn't want someone to tune in and be like, this is crazy. That girl needs to chill. Also, I need to not worry so much, right? I need to just be me. Yeah, right. It's not like Scoots, exactly. The Sleep With Me podcast. Yeah, it's not boring. It would not be boring if Mary Fons was like whispering in your ear to like, I don't know, okay, wait. Put on your cutting glove. You need to be safe when you... Sorry, I can't do it. Enough. What if my viewership just shot up like when I was doing that? If someone's like, oh, there's ASMR happening on Twitch. Let's go look. Okay. So we've got a bad idea, ASMR. We've got an interesting thought about arts and quilts, about quilts being art for people taking photographs like this. And now we're going to talk about this exhibit because it's very important. It's a very big deal. Okay. Oh, no, not that. Okay. That's what we're going to talk about after. All right. Got to pull this up. Yes. Okay. Not that. This. Ah! Fabric of a Nation. Okay. So the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, Civvy Mac, lots of people fall asleep in church. Indeed. I have to tell you, one of the YouTube comments today, a lady was not thrilled about this quilt church name. And it's going to happen. Like there's going to be some pushback. And that's okay. That's good. I commented back to her that, the people in the chat and me, we worship quilts basically. And, this name came up and I really like it. But, there's going to be a little bit of this. But I think as soon as that lady comes to check out the show, she might be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's great. I love it. We can't get away from Quilt Church. It's here. It's here. And there's a church emote. So if you're a subscriber at tier 1, if you really like something that we're looking at, I'd say you should put a church thing you should click the church emote emotes or emojis. On Twitch, they're called emotes. And yeah, if you subscribe at tier 1, you get the heart plus emote, you get the church emote, and then this cute little smiley face that I really like. And then once I put together like this subscription stuff, you get like more, you get more emotes. But I've created like some really cool quilt blocks and things. So I don't know. It's fun. It's fun. It's a game. It's fun. It's entertainment. Yeah, I know. What can you do? What can you do about the people with disapproval? I think my least favorite, there's like 2 words I really, really dislike in like the vernacular these days, like in the lingua franca or whatever. It's disappointed. I'm disappointed that you know, like in like comments or I don't know, and yeah, usually on the internet or in an email, you know, I'm disappointed that blah, blah, blah. Or even better, I'm concerned. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just disappointed and concerned always feel like, oh God, like, oh, I don't know. I just don't like reading those words. Who does? Yeah, Quilt Church. Jill has never been so excited to be indoctrinated in her life. Same, Robin, same. Thanks, Tea Lover. Okay, so let's look at this. So the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, you may recognize the work or the person, you may know who made this work, right? Because her work is so iconic and so very, very, very much having its moment right now. This is a work by Bisa Butler, who had a solo show recently at the Art Institute in Chicago, which is a very, very big deal. And it was a blockbuster hit. Baptize me, baby. Exactly. It was a huge hit, and it went up during the pandemic. At the beginning, sort of the pandemic, I think it was open for 2 weeks before everything shut down. But then when it reopened, it was just, she was the toast of the town for good reason. She's an extraordinary artist. So Fabric of a Nation, so this work is her largest work to date. We can find the dimensions of it, but it is in this show, Fabric of a Nation. Now, when people do PowerPoint presentations and they read text, like say they'll have a slide up on a screen and they'll read the text that you can read yourself up on the screen. I'm not a fan of that. However, I'm going to give you, whenever I read text on a screen, I really want to try to give you eye candy. Okay, so I'm going to move this over, this description of the exhibit over there. And I'm going to read through the description of this, okay? Because I want you to hear it. And the reason I'm going to do it is because I don't know that I would want to look at a screen of someone else's screen and read text from that. And perhaps even more importantly, I know that a lot of you are sewing while you're listening to this or watching this. And so I'm going to read it to you. This is one of the reasons I love Twitch so much, or this streaming thing, is because podcasts are great. If you're a quilter, podcasts are great. Keep you company, entertain your mind and things. Quilt podcasts, like podcasts about quilting, absolutely great. They can do that too. However, quilting is a visual medium, right? It's not just storytelling. It's storytelling plus material culture, right? So we have these great visual things that we want to see. So to me, this platform is really, really great. Really great. Why? It's a video magazine, right, Mark? So I'm going to read you the description of this exhibit that's coming up on, hang on. October 10th. October 10th. Just a week away. It's just a week away. Oh man, that's, and by the way, I read in I was, looking up things to share with you about this exhibit and different stuff. And I, this show is like, it's all over the coolest newspapers and the coolest magazines. Modern Luxury magazine has a huge story on it. The Wall Street Journal has a huge story on it. Of course, the Boston Globe has a huge story on it. Because for a lot of reasons, quilts are cool, okay? They're having a moment. When aren't they? And also quilts are beautiful to look at. Any newspaper, as an editor, you need visuals. You want people to pick up a newspaper or a magazine and buy it. And I mean, quilts look great, So if there's a big quilt show, an awesome quilt show, there will be an article about it. When QuiltCon was in LA, I mean, anytime QuiltCon happens, the paper does a big feature. But I remember the LA Times, it was on the front page. QuiltCon in Pasadena, 2018, I think. Huge story on the front page of the LA Times. Okay. Oh, Marianne. I didn't even think about doing that. Marianne just suggested that I not read it in my ASMR voice. I won't. I will not. Sue John. Did you see the story on CBS Sunday Morning on Bisa Butler? No, I did not. That's wonderful. That's very good to know. Gosh, she's just really fascinating and beautiful. Isn't she gorgeous? Oh. Some people have it all. They can make exquisite works of art and look great doing it. All right. So here's the deal on Fabric of a Nation. I'm sure there is a subtitle to this. Oh yeah, American Quilt Stories. Okay, Fabric of a Nation, American Quilt Stories, October 10th, 2021 through January 17th, 2022. Ooh, that is very good. This will be up for a long time. And that's good because of COVID and because of just not everyone lives in Boston, even though if you fly into Boston Logan, it feels like everyone lives in Boston because you can't get out of the airport, like traffic for an hour. I digress. Here's what the Museum of Fine Arts Boston has to say about the exhibit. Discover the extraordinary stories behind 300 years of American quilts. Quilts and coverlets have a unique capacity to tell stories. Their tactile, intricate mode of creation and their traditional use. Hang on, let me do one thing. I want to get Bisa's work up here too. I can do that real easy. Okay, hang on. Yeah, okay. We'll call that okay. Sorry to interrupt myself, but let's get Bisa up there because it's Bisa. All right. Okay, quilts and coverlets have a unique capacity to tell stories. Their tactile, intricate mode of creation and their traditional use in the home impart deeply personal narratives of their creators, and the many histories they express reveal a complex record of America. Oh, I like that, complex record. I like that. Quilts have also been used in North America since the 17th century, and their story, told by many voices, has evolved alongside the United States. Indeed, the story of quilt in America is the story of America itself. That is my little interjection there. Upending expectations about quilt displays. And they say traditionally organized by region, form, or motif. Fabric of a Nation, American Quilt Stories is a loosely chronological presentation in 7 thematic sections. Oh, I'm dead. I have to go see this. That voices multiple perspectives. Visitors see and hear from artists, educators. Oh, I'm dying. I can't wait. Academics and activists, and the diversity of artistic hands and minds from the 17th century to today. Wow. Including female and male, known and unidentified, urban and rural makers, immigrants, and Black, Latinx, Indigenous, Asian, and LGBTQIA+ Americans. The exhibition invites visitors to celebrate the artistry and intricacy of quilts and coverlets and the lives they document, while also considering the complicated legacies ingrained in the fabric of American life. Oof. The exhibition brings together the, oh my lord, okay. The exhibition brings together the only 2 surviving quilts by artist Harriet Powers, displaying the MFA's iconic pictorial quilt, alongside the Bible quilt, made in 1886. The first one, pictorial quilt, 1895 to 1898, alongside the Bible quilt, 1885 to 1886, on loan from the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History for the first time. What? Okay, let me just recap. Harriet Power's Pictorial Quilt lives at the Museum of Fine Art Boston. Okay, they have it. The Bible quilt is at the Smithsonian. And if I am reading this correctly, which I believe I am, they have never been exhibited together? Okay. Let's continue. Powers, who was born into slavery in Athens, Georgia, was an exceptional artist and storyteller. But who gets to tell her story? By looking at Powers' life and work through the lens of history and hearing from a variety of individuals, visitors are encouraged to make resonant connections to their own lives. Among other highlights are Bisa Butler's To God and Truth, 2019, work you're looking at. I hope I haven't cut off. Okay, good. Yep. A vibrantly colorful and elaborately patterned quilt based on an 1899 photograph of the Morris Brown College baseball team, and Carla Hemlock's Survivors, in which figures and names of 48 First Nations and Indigenous groups that survive today are stitched around a traditional pattern. Together, the masterpieces in this exhibition tell inclusive, human stories that link us across time and articulate a rich and richly complicated story of our shared history. Yeah, Jill, same. I'm like that little dog on that crazy quilt that we saw earlier. I'm just like, yeah, I'm very excited to see this. I have to figure out how to do it. I mean, we're going home for Christmas. Because you're here in this nascent journey, and you're just great. Okay, so that's that. So I was looking at Fabric of a Nation, and then I was looking at, so I saw that Krakow Kabuki Waltz piece that I put up here, that's in the show. Okay, that's why this is all happening, because that is in the show. But what else is in the show? Let's take a look. So there's a few other things. Oh, good. Oh, technical difficulties. Oh, dear. Oh, I was so excited I didn't even notice. It came back. Okay. I'm too excited. It froze. Oh, no. I just hate that. Was blank? Oh, no. Okay. Using the intermission. Okay. Well, I don't know why it did that, but I will try to look down more often to see that, because the chat's coming through. Was I frozen like this? Probably I was frozen in that face. So, okay, you closed your browser window and started the page back up. Hey, Elizabeth. Hi. I think you came in right after there was a little blip in the matrix. I'm really glad you're back. And it was a camera blinking. A camera blinking? Oh, wait a minute. Hang on just a gall darn second here. Interesting. Okay, you know what? Okay, first of all, let me tell you that I want to fix something. Because I think there's a little something strange going on with that camera. Anyway, when we take a break, I'll do it. I think if it's been okay mostly until now, it's not a huge problem. But when we take a quick break, and I have music for the break screen as well, I figured that out. I think it's okay. I'll fix it during that break. What I was saying when I probably froze was that if I'm going to the Boston show, living here is tough to do stuff like this, but I'm going home for Christmas in December, and the show is going to be up. And I was like, maybe other people, maybe some of the Quilt Church acolytes, the Quilt Church goers, maybe some of the congregation. I mean, what if you were going to be there? Maybe if some of you are going to go, then we could go together. Is that weird? Is that bad? Is that like a very bad idea to just suggest to... But you're quilt people, I think. I mean, most of you are. I can tell at this point that you're quilt people. So why not go to a show together? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. Okay. So let's take a look at some other... You're up for it? I am too. Okay. Oh yeah. Look at this. Yep, there she is. There's Krakow. Virginia E. Jacobs. So this, and I'm not going to click... Well, if I click on them... I mean, let's look at them. Yeah, we got to look at them. It's not going to, take anything away from us all seeing the show together and having lunch. It would be so much fun. And it's months away, right, before we would see them. And seeing the real thing isn't like looking at them online. So we looked early on, I think maybe, one of the very first streams, and on the stream about quilts and fashion, we looked at these quilts, these intarsia quilts made by soldiers, and how Alexander McQueen, the house of Alexander McQueen, used these quilts as inspiration for spring, summer, or fall, winter, a collection recently. Just absolutely beautiful. So yeah, check that out. So Civil War Zouave, 1860. Look at that plain wool, plain weave, and twill cotton. And there's leather and wool embroidered with wool. I mean, these intarsia quilts are just crazy. I mean, wounded soldiers, right, would sit and piece them. It's insane. It's crazy. Wow, look at that. Whew. Scenes of the war. I mean, ugh, I can't wait to see this. And remember, I started tonight saying that there is a book of this exhibit as well. Okay, what else do we have? Yep, there's the pictorial quilt. That's a really nice photo of this quilt. It's a better photo than I've ever seen, actually. I think this is a new photograph because I've looked at this quilt a lot over the years and used this picture a lot in lectures and things. But I think that's a new photo. I don't know. It seems higher res. Sometimes, anyway, yeah. I know I have mislabeled this at times, or spoken about it. The Bible quilt and the pictorial quilt are different. And I'm sure I've messed that up. Oh, okay, this is the one that the exhibit was that the description of the exhibit was speaking about. Carla Hemlock survivors. This has the names of those tribes to what did they say? Hang on one second. I've got the word wrong. First Nations, 48 First Nations and indigenous groups, 48 of them that survive today, stitched around an original pattern, Lone Star pattern, right? Lone Star, Star of Bethlehem. Well, maybe not Star of Bethlehem. Anyway, yes, a traditional pattern for sure. Really beautiful. Okay. Ooh, Irene Williams, Vote Quilt. Great. I don't know anything about this one. Okay, well, it's a gift of the Souls Grown Deep Foundation. And that is the collective that works, that is Gee's Bend, the people from Gee's Bend who make quilts, in partnership with some other folks. The Souls Grown Deep Foundation helps manage the collection and sort of, it's a foundation that works with the quilters of Gee's Bend, past and present. I would like to know more about the Souls Grown Deep Foundation. Perhaps we should look at that sometime. I think we should. Excellent. It's a date. Okay, the Bisa Butler work. Look at that. I mean, she's amazing. She's amazing. She long arms her work, pretty sure. I mean, she'd have to, right? Yeah, QuiltCon is in Phoenix this year. Or I mean in 2022. I know, it's so pretty. I'll be there. You got to come to Phoenix. It'll be good to be there in February, right? It'll be good to be there. And there's Virginia. Okay. Okay. This quilt. So what you're looking at there is, let me see if I can make this bigger. Yeah, okay. At least I can do that for you. This quilt is, so it's called A Century of Progress. And I think you'll remember a couple streams ago, I talked about the Century of Progress quilt contest that took place in 1933. The World's Fair in Chicago was in Chicago that year, and Sears Roebuck held a quilt contest. 25,000 people sent in quilts to win the money because it was the worst year of the Great Depression for so many people, and you could win enough money to buy yourself a house. And the quilts that came from that contest, which, yeah, I mean, they're amazing and totally like iconoclastic and beautiful and strange and creative. And this is one of those quilts. This is a quilt. Richard Rowley made it. I know something about it. Like he made it and attributed it to his mother or something. I don't know. The tag down there at the bottom, or the label, says more about it. Brendan, we should absolutely have a quilt church meetup for a few drinks and nosh on some tapas. Yeah, and crisps, always crisps. I would love that at QuiltCon. 1,000%. It is done. We shall do this. It's a great idea. Maybe I could stream from QuiltCon. That'd be cool. So what you're looking at is a quilt that was made for that contest. And when you entered the contest, you could enter. I'm not sure if there were dimensions that they stipulated for the entries, possibly. But one thing that was noted in the rules is that if you incorporated the Century of Progress, which was the theme of the World's Fair that year, if you incorporated the theme into your quilt, you would be eligible for extra prize money, or you would be eligible for, some prize money if you did it, the best, right? If you incorporated the theme the best. Hey, Reese. Hi. Yes, Quilt Church. Good. This is Chicago. This is a bird's eye view of the fair. Of the fair. Navy Pier? No. I should really know this, but the way the fair was set up in Chicago at that time. I mean, Chicago's changed a lot since 1933. It's been 90 years or so. So I don't want to say. Obviously, it's Lake Michigan, and it's Chicago. It's the easternmost side of Chicago, and there's Lake Michigan, and it's a bird's eye view of the fair. And it's just, it's amazing, right? It's really, really, really cool. It's so detailed. I know he used a map, a map of the fair to make it so accurate. And it just the striped fabric here, in that amphitheater, this rainbow kind of thing here over on the right, the literature, the scrapbooks and the memory books printed up at that time. I've seen many of them. There's like a rainbow kind of branding, and there was kind of this art direction for all of those, the ephemera from the fair, all the paper goods that they printed up, brochures and souvenir books and things like that, had kind of a beam of light, right, of this rainbow variety sort of beaming up to the sky, the Century of Progress. It was very grand, and so he's got that represented down here. It's really, really cool. So that's this quilt, and this quilt, yeah, Rickrack Binding. Yeah, like that little, yeah, it does look like Rickrack, Brendan, and it's interesting because it's technically, a scalloped binding, right? But it's so shallow. It's this very shallow scallop, and it's just so well done. It's all so well done, and then the wavy quilting, that stops at the shore. So and look at the quilting here. It changes, the river. And look at this. I've actually never noticed this. The boat. You can see the way the water's changed behind the boat. Oh my gosh, that's really something. So I've seen this quilt in person because it belonged, I believe it now belongs to a museum. Or it was sold. But Mary Kay Waldvogel had this quilt for a long time. And the great historian, the great quilt detective, Mary Kay Waldvogel. And she had it at her house, and I was at her house, and I got to see it, and it's just awesome. All right. Yeah, so I definitely want to see the show. So this is the Bible quilt. Right. Yeah, okay, yeah. This is the Bible quilt, and the other quilt by Harriet Powers was her Pictorial Quilt. Probably the most famous quilt in America, I would say. I mean, the most, I don't know, it's just Harriet Powers' Bible quilt is kind of, there's just nothing like it. Oh, wow. Sanford Biggers. Oh, a deeper form of chess. Sanford Biggers, we looked at really briefly once early on before I was really doing this. I did like 3 test streams that no one saw, and I'm glad. Well, some people saw it, but very few, because I was figuring things out even more than I am now. And we looked at Sanford Biggers just very briefly. We will look at his work a lot in the future because he's a very interesting artist. But this is his work here. So sculptural. Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't seen this one. This is really cool. A different form of chess. So he's got, that's quilt blocks, right? Quilt blocks are affixed or incorporated into this sculptural element, this sort of figure. You can see that's, maybe a square and a square block right there. And then this is a log cabin block going on there. And that's it. That's very interesting. Okay, cool. Gosh, oof. Didn't they say it's like 7 different sections? 7 different, it's great. They didn't say how many objects were in the show, I don't think, but Amish quilt, I mean, classic, right? Classic. I don't know. I think, the people across the way are having dinner. Wonder if it's any good. Probably. So someone, I think I mentioned this before, but when I was at QuiltCon, I think, in Nashville? No. There was an exhibit. Marianne, the reproduction quilts. Harriet Powers reproduction quilts. I talked about the Smithsonian scandal a couple streams ago. I didn't talk about Harriet Powers much, but I did mention it. I do have one of those at home in Chicago. There was an exhibit of of some of the quilts from the Lancaster Museum, Pennsylvania, Lancaster County Museum. The quilts of Lancaster County, the Amish quilts are just legendary. They're one of them is in this show, The Fabric of a Nation. So you can assume that they're a pretty big deal, but I don't think I'll have to tell that to anybody in this chat right now. But when I went along with the gal who was there giving the tours. I gave part of the tour, and I remember saying, "You should be giving all of this tour, but I will come along and say things that you say because you are very smart about these quilts." But we kind of did some of it together. I think that's how it worked. Anyway, she taught me a lot, and one of the things that kind of blew me away was that so this is what 1940. Ooh, sorry, 1940. A lot of the Amish quilts that look like this, right? These iconic quilts are machine pieced. And when we think about the Amish folks, the machine is not something that they they keep things plain, right? And they don't use, what is it? There's a way to say it. What do I mean? Like they don't. There's like no graven images, and their clothes are plain to keep plain, but they don't use like electricity. Is that right? I feel kind of ignorant about how to phrase this, but I didn't think that they use sewing machines because it wasn't part of their cultural way, right? But like treadle machines or like hand crank machines or whatever are okay. Treadle machines, exactly. Didn't like electricity. Okay, Marianne, if that's how I'm going to say it. They didn't like electricity, and I don't think they do still. There's different sects and things and different, varieties of Amish, and there's Mennonite and things like that. But yeah, treadle machines were okay for so many Amish people who were making quilts like this, and so machine pieced and then hand quilted. Machine pieced and hand quilted. I was like, that's a very interesting little tidbit. So now you know as well. Wow, look at all that. Whew. That's a lot of names. What in the world? Okay. Takes a lot of people to get a quilt into a show, I guess. This is really cool. This is so unidentified artist Hoosier suffrage quilt, probably made in Indiana before 1920. So, I mean, how cool is that? Look at all those names. Look, okay, up here, I'm going to read you what it says up here at the top. There are these little sayings. Interesting. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Charity for all. Faith, hope, and charity. What is worth doing is worth doing well. Kindness to all. Peace. Hold on. I don't know what that one says. Life is what we make it. Wow, this is so cool. Excelsior. Love to all. Let liberty reign. Wow. It looks like peaceful things or something, but that's really, really neat. Don't you just want to, you want to see it, don't you? Okay. A couple more. Oh yeah, no, that's it. All right, so now we have a taste of this wonderful show, and it's opening next week, basically, on October 11th through January 22nd. And that is what I have to say about that. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to make sure this camera thing doesn't do what it did, and then we're going to, hey Michelle, then we're going to look at Pilgrim and Roy collection. Gerald Roy and Paul Pilgrim. Do you know about these people? Have you heard of them? I want to know more about them. And I have pulled up really beautiful quilts for you. Like check this out. Here's a little taste. Okay. Here's a little taste. They're gonna be big, these quilts, and they're gonna just be amazing. So that's Jerry Roy on the right and the late Paul D Pilgrim on the left, and we're gonna learn about them. Okay, and I've got some stuff printed out to read, and this is how we do it. Okay, I'm gonna turn on the be right back screen, and I will be right back. Okay, get your crisps. So I made this sign that says turn on mic, okay? Because we know what happened last time is I put on the screen to go do something, fix something, and then I came back and I talked for a good 2 minutes without sound. This time, I didn't think I needed to turn off the mic, so I didn't. I had this ready, but because I like that music too. Thank you very much. Like church, right? It was gospel. Then it was like candle or whatever. I didn't turn off my mic because I didn't think with the way this is set up, you turn, anyway, I have like a streaming screen like this, and then I have a different screen and you select the one, that you want to show. And because I didn't like program my mic into the I'll be right back screen, I didn't think I had to turn it off. But then, is this okay? Yeah? Can you hear me okay? Should I do this? Maybe. All right. You all let me know if the sound... Okay, good. But I didn't turn it off. And then I just saw Marianne said, I hear crisps. And it was probably because I turned on, the thing, and then I was sitting here like this looking at the camera. Oh, God. Anyway. I'm glad I wasn't like cursing my computer. Like, I'd be like, oh, she's so different off camera. Okay. Good. All right. So, let me think. Oh, yeah. Remember, tomorrow at 4 p.m. my time, 10 a.m. Central. I've set it all up. We can sew together tomorrow. So I'm going to stream tomorrow, but it's going to be a different thing. I'm just going to sew with you. And I've got my, thanks, Carol. I've got my, the second camera came. I ordered it from Amazon and it came and I was here to get it. I didn't leave the house so I can make sure to get it. And I've got the table over there set up, and I've got the one camera sort of like on this, like I kind of jerry-rigged this tripod kind of thing. And I've got it focused. I'm really excited too. I've got it focused on, what I'm working on. And then this camera I'll take over. I've worked all of this up. I did a little test run thing. And then, because we know I'm so great with this stuff. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm feeling pretty proud of myself. I mean, this is pretty complicated. I'm telling you. They make it easy, but it's also not easy. I've had to learn all new skills. I feel pretty good about it. It's not perfect, but it's, it's new. So I'm going to take this camera that I'm talking to right now and put it on my face and then set up a monitor and everything. So we're just going to sew tomorrow. I know that a few of you are going to come and sew with me, and I'm really glad. And it doesn't matter if there's one person or there's like 10 people or there's 1,000 people. There won't be 1,000 people, but there will be time to sew together, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm either going to do some hand sewing on this patchwork. I don't have a sewing machine here. I don't have one. Christmas. Eric has been properly suggested to that I would like a sewing machine here. Good. Thanks, Beth. Sue, you can tell your seatmate tomorrow at church that you have an appointment and that it's very serious. And it is serious. This is the first time I've ever done something like this. I've never turned a camera on and sewn with people. Well, have I? Live? Actually, yes. One time at Nancy Zeman's show. I was at Nancy Zeman's show, and I got to meet her a couple times before she passed away. And at her show was one of them. And I had to sew live on stage a curved seam, which I'm really bad at, and it went okay. But I was sewing live in front of people. That was really scary. And I think I told Nancy Zeman, I was like, I don't know, that was really hard. I think I kind of like rushed through the end. She's like, oh yeah, it happens all the time. And I was like, oh. Anyway, but it is quilt fellowship. That's the thing. And so, Sue, what I was saying is you just have an appointment, and it's you just need to, and that's all you have to say. And you can duck out of church just a little bit early, just a little, and come and join us. But you know what? I'll be sewing for a while. I'm kind of like you guys. Like when I sew, I tend to do it for a while. I love Nancy Zeman too. She's amazing. And Sue, by the way, the emojis, when people are using, if you don't know, if you're seeing the heart plus, which is my little insignia, right? If you see the heart plus or the little church icon or the little smiley face, I haven't seen the smiley face yet. I think Mark used it. You get access to those if you subscribe at $4.99 to the show. And that means that you get those little emotes and you don't have to watch the ads, and you'll get some more stuff sometime. Quilt Church tomorrow on Sunday, the official Quilt Church, or the proper Quilt Church, 10 a.m. Central. And if that is wrong, for Lord's sake, someone correct me, but it's because it's 4 p.m. for me. 4 p.m. for me. $5.99 in Chicago? Really? It's $5.99? Tier 1? Is that like some weird like UK? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that, Cisco. I call you Cisco, but that's okay to call you Cisco. Okay, Reese. Well, Reese, I hope it watch the replay, okay? Watch the replay and we'll look for you, okay? Cisco, interesting. That's good to know about $5.99. Thanks for coming, Reese. Interesting. It's a weird internet day. But that one time I had problems, I guess, today, but I don't know. I don't know if it's me or you. It's $4.99 for you, Jill Alex. How strange. I just don't know what's going on. £4.99 for the UK. I don't know. I just don't know. Kathy. Okay, Kathy. Cisco Kathy. I'll try to remember. Anyway, so tomorrow, just grab your project. Knowing me, there's probably going to be something I'll pull up for you to look at on the screen at some point, but it'll mostly just be us hanging out. And I was also thinking, well, I should call it like Sew Sunday. What was I calling it? Hang on. Whoop. I was calling it, Sew Sunday or Sunday Sew, probably Sunday Sew. And then I was like, well, what if it's like Sunday Sew with story time? And I could like tell you a story about my life. But then I thought, this is how people get into trouble. They go on the internet and they talk about, their life, and then they get into trouble because they're telling private things on the internet. I mean, I wouldn't be telling you private things, but I've got a lot of good stories. I've lived a very interesting life. It is. I've gone many places. I've seen many things. I have done many things. I got some good stories from it. Sunday social. I like that. It could be an ice cream social. I really like ice cream. I like it a lot. And I really enjoy McDonald's ice cream cones. Anyone else? I really like them. That soft serve McDonald's ice cream. Whenever I'm on the road, I often get like 2 in like a day. I just do. Okay. Sunday social. Yeah, Sunday social. That's perfect. It is, Sue. Who said... So Kathy said Sunday social. And Sue has completely... Oh, yeah. Sunday social. Okay. Yep. Sue has completely thumbs upped it. And Marianne, Sunday social. Love it. Of course, the play on words makes total sense. I love it. Sunday so-and-so. Yeah. Robin... It's going to be some combination of something. Dairy Queen soft serve. I just love soft serve. When I can have like crunch coat on it. Like, okay, anyway. What are we doing? Is this an ice cream show? No. It's not ice cream church. So, okay. Talked about turning on the mic. Sewing tomorrow, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. my time. And, oh yeah, and then this last little bit of business that I didn't do before that I want to do. I need to have a little bit of this wine. It would be terrific if you could, hey Sibby, no, it's never early. Well, it would be great if you would tell people about this show and say, hey, this is really fun. Or about the sewing tomorrow too, whatever. But tell people about how this is quilt. Well, I don't know. If some friends you can say quilt church to, and some friends you can't. But, or whatever, they can deal with it. But post about it or something. I hate asking about that. I hate asking people to do that. But the truth is that Twitch quilters aren't on Twitch. They're not. If you're here, you probably joined Twitch because you heard I was doing this thing and it's been fun, and so you keep coming back, which is great. But it's hard to get the word out, so it's really going to be like me doing my little Instagram things and you letting people know that this is happening. And I would just appreciate it if you like it. Just say, hey, Mary's doing this thing, and that's cool. They'll find it with YouTube and all that. And if I can stream, once the internet is doing its proper thing, I'll be able to hopefully stream to YouTube and Facebook and Twitch simultaneously. I don't know. You know what my goal is for this show? Great content. That's it. That is my goal, period. Because if you do that, I don't know if you build it, they will come. I don't know that that's actually true, but I know that if I give you all great content and I keep getting better and I keep refining this process, then, if you told all your friends to come here and they didn't get anything when they came here, they would never come back, and it wouldn't matter that they came. So my goal is just to do a really great show for you. And it's interesting how it's building. Yeah, exactly, Kathy. Oh, good. Elizabeth, thank you very much. And I have some gigs coming up, where I'll be able to tell guilds about it. But it is, it's really new, and it's like Twitch, what is this? Thank you for telling them about it. It means a lot to me. And I think that's how it's going to work. What was I saying? Anyway, yeah, content. That's my job. That's what I got to try to do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So yeah, Twitch. Yeah, Robin, you had no idea what Twitch was. I didn't know what it was until really 4 months ago. Really. Yeah. And so what's interesting though is that Twitch, they're really trying to get more non-gaming people to use the platform because they want to, expand and, whatever. They want to grow and make their money and everything. I'm sure they're doing fine. But and Amazon bought them, right? So this is an Amazon property, Twitch is. But here's what I think. And then we're going to talk about Gerald Roy and Paul D Pilgrim, okay? The men you're seeing on screen. Twitch wants to expand their audience and their content. And many of the people who are following this channel now got on Twitch just like you, Robin, and Kathy. You made a Twitch login so that you could come and be in this room, right? And watch this show. And I think Twitch in time, if we keep nurturing this little project, right? I think it'll be clear that there's a new community. There's a community of quilt people who, I think other quilt makers should be using Twitch. I think you could teach classes this way. And I know there's live stream, I'm sure there's live stream stuff that happens and workshops that you do on Facebook Live or something. I don't know. I've not taken one, but I don't know. I just think that I hope they take notice that there are quilt people that are an untapped market. Sounds so gross, but it's true. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. Yeah, follow me if you haven't followed me, all that stuff. Okay. So when I was looking at the Fabric of a Nation exhibit, and by the way, obviously this is a long stream tonight. It's 20 till midnight. I'm just getting started. That's great. Elizabeth, I agree. I think Twitch works better than YouTube or Facebook Live. It's built for this. It doesn't do like videos. It does live streaming. Okay, sorry. So the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, they have been like friendly to quilts, for a while. I mean, I think there's museums that I can think of that are like the Los Angeles County Museum of Fine Art has a great quilt collection. And long ago, I mean, years ago, the Los Angeles County Museum of Fine Art, of Contemporary Art, it's LACMA, Los Angeles County Museum of Art. They put all the images of their quilts on Wikipedia Commons, which is the image arm of Wikipedia. So commons.wikipedia.org. And so it was really, really great because, when I'm making a lecture or, doing something that I don't want to use copyrighted images, it's actually kind of okay in a lecture to use images that are not copyrighted. If you're publishing something, you absolutely cannot use a picture that has a copyright unless you get permission. But the Los Angeles County Museum of Art put all their images of their quilts on Wikipedia Commons, which is a public domain kind of thing. So I was so grateful because I had these great pictures of quilts that I could use in stuff. So I've known about the Los Angeles County Museum of Art for a while and their quilt collection. And of course, the Met has some quilts. They don't have a ton. The best place to go for a quilt museum would obviously be the International Quilt Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska, or the San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles, or the National Quilt Museum in Paducah, Kentucky. But the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, they've had that Harriet Powers pictorial quilt. They have it, and it's so important and so valuable. So that's really cool. And they seem to be over the years a friend to the quilt. And so I was looking at the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, and I was reading about the Fabric of a Nation. I didn't read much because I wanted to read it along with you, to have that fun with you. And I came across an exhibit they did in 2014, a quilt exhibit. And what I think is true is, Wikimedia Commons, what I think is true is that they haven't had a major quilt exhibit since 2014. I mean, I think I would have found it, right? I mean, not necessarily. There's plenty of things that I do not find, and it definitely does not mean it does not exist. But I found that they did an exhibit called Quilts in Color. Quilts from the Pilgrim Roy collection. Pilgrim/Roy collection. Now, who do you know these names? Does this sound familiar to you? You may see as I show you some photos and some things that you are familiar with these two gentlemen. So Paul D Pilgrim on the left here passed away some years ago. I don't know exactly when. And remember now, if you're new here or if you're still getting acquainted with the show, I pull up some things to look at and we look at them together. I have a little bit of prep so I don't just totally lose the script, if you will. But Marie knows. But I don't know, I don't know everything. So I don't know when he died. I'm not sure. I think Gerald Roy lives in New England, but I'm not sure. So this is some of the details you'll either learn along with me or you'll have to do your own investigation, right? But these two guys, hang on, these two guys are quilt collectors, and Paul D. Pilgrim passed away, and so Gerald Roy is still living, and he's in New England, pretty sure Massachusetts, and they are their name, the Pilgrim Roy Quilt Collection, is just a really well-known, well-regarded presence in the quilt world, certainly among collectors and among museums. I mean, the Museum of Fine Arts Boston did a whole show of their quilts in 2014, and so we're gonna look at them, and we're gonna look at some of them. And I pulled up this. I found an article in. Good. So I pulled up this magazine article from 2014. Yeah, the year of the exhibit. From In Collect magazine. And you know who wrote it? I was like, oh, Jennifer Swope. She was the curator of the exhibition. And she's the curator of the exhibit that's coming up, Fabric of a Nation. Yeah. So I would like to meet her. She sounds like a pretty cool person. And, oh, yeah. Okay, Tea Lover is right. There was a regular column by Gerald Roy in Love of Quilting magazine for a long time. I forgot about that. It's true. He did. He wrote a column in Love of Quilting magazine for some years. That's right. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Before they, yeah, it went away, which is sad, but there was a point in quilt magazines, where a lot of that kind of extra stuff kind of got the axe, and it's too bad because he's a very knowledgeable fellow. And yeah, okay. So we're going to take a look at a video too of him, a brief 3 minutes or something like that, after I read a little bit too about him and them. There's a book. I want to show you the book because I think maybe it might spark a memory. Nope. Hang on. Quilts in Color book. It should be. Hold on. Yeah, this book. You might have it, right? It's been around for a while. I forget how old it is, but that's a book, the Pilgrim Roy collection, and it's wonderful, right? It's got beautiful photographs of so much of their collection. I don't know if they have all of it, represented there in that book, but they have. It is a really, really nice book. I don't think I have my own copy of that. I need to ask my mom. She has all the books. Oh, nice. So, wavy fabric. Okay, Dee Marie has got one of her favorite fabrics. A link there in the chat of one of her favorite fabrics of all time. Okay, so I'm going to look at that in a minute, but here's the article about this collection. Okay, so this is about the exhibition at the Museum of Fine Arts Boston in 2014 by Jennifer Swope. Okay. In the late 1960s, when Gerald Roy and Paul Pilgrim first saw Mrs. Herrick's 1879 log cabin barn-raising variation quilt, this is the quilt you're looking at now, they were struck by her masterful orchestration of color. At that moment, they agreed, quote, "This has nothing to do with staying warm. This is art," unquote. As artists trained at the Oakland College of Arts and Crafts and other American art schools, influenced by expatriate former Bauhaus faculty. Look at this in here. These little fussy cut. Oh, it's a great photo. We can really get in close. They were attuned to the relationship between color and abstraction. When Pilgrim, and Roy had been acquiring quilts, while Pilgrim and Roy had been acquiring quilts for several years for their gallery in Oakland, California, none seemed prescient of the mid-century geometric compositions of Joseph Albers in the way that Mrs. Herrick's log cabin did. The revelation that quilts could be, in Roy's words, art, sparked deep interest, leading into their acquisition of over 1,200 examples. Okay, so the book that they have does not include all of their quilts. Wow, 1,200. That's amazing. As their collection grew, so did their role in the quilt world. According to Gerald Roy, together they became, quote, searchers, gatherers, keepers, conservators, historians, makers, and teachers, teaching being the most rewarding, unquote. Pilgrim and Roy were initially drawn to pieced quilts that showed a range of color phenomena, from the bold combination of orange and blue found in Mennonite quilts to more subtle color combinations of low contrast, like the deep, saturated colors of Amish quilts. By the way, the quilts that I have pulled up for you to look at while I'm reading this are not necessarily with the text. That first one was, but I just pulled a bunch of really great images from all over the internet of these quilts to show you. But so I just mentioned a Mennonite quilt, right? So that's not necessarily going to be what you're looking at. Yes, exactly. What you're going to be looking at on screen. Okay. Okay. With their expanding knowledge, Pilgrim and Roy broadened their interests to include quilts that contrasted dark elements with white. As their collection grew, they explored variations of specific patterns, such as the ubiquitous log cabin, and sought out illusionistic quilts with dynamic color combinations. After many years of looking at quilts, listening to quilt makers, and becoming quilt makers themselves, Pilgrim and Roy became most intrigued by unorthodox quilts that departed from standard palettes or prescribed patterns. This quilt blows me away. I've never seen something like this. I just with that print, that like pattern, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean the plaid, right? Plaid, crazy. The status of quilts rose in the art world soon after Pilgrim and Roy began collecting. Non-functional quilts made to ornament furniture or hang on walls had been exhibited and celebrated for decades before the summer of 1971, when Abstract Design and American Quilts opened at the Whitney Museum of American Art. In this groundbreaking exhibition, quilts were hung on gallery walls, like paintings. For the first time, quilts were nationally recognized as masterpieces of art without regard to craftsmanship or provenance. Featuring quilts from the collection of Jonathan Holstein and Gail Vanderhoof, who were contemporaries of Pilgrim and Roy, this exhibition was lauded by prominent art critic Hilton Kramer, writing in his review for the New York Times, quote, "For a century or more preceding the self-conscious invention of pictorial abstraction in European painting, the anonymous quilt makers of the American provinces created a remarkable succession of visual masterpieces that anticipated many of the forms that were later prized for their originality and courage," unquote. Sorry, Hilton Kramer was like, I don't know. He's a problem. He's problematic. He's a little problematic. Okay. By garnering the attention of the New York art establishment, American quilts soon became fodder in the debate among art critics, feminists, and artists about fine art versus craft, folk art versus fine art, and female versus male art forms. While decades of seeking a range of objects displayed as art in museums have left many inured to this controversy, the Whitney exhibition inaugurated a revival in quilt making that embraced non-functional quilts and catalyzed a broader interest in quilt collecting, both of which persist today. Okay, hang on. Okay. A number of the quilts in the Pilgrim and Roy... Oh, this quilt, by the way, I'm pretty sure is called Dove in the Window. Isn't that great? It's on the cover... It's on the cover of something important. It's on the cover of something important. But Dove in the Window, I just think it's like... It's just beautiful. Look how simple it is, you know? It's really a three fabric quilt. Or, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 fabrics. And the quilting, if you can see it, it's like... It's extraordinarily intricate. These fans or these, I don't know. I mean, they're like almost like sunflowers, you know, in the middle, and then this like weaving cord along the edge. It's just wonderful. Okay. A number of the quilts in the Pilgrim Roy collection illustrate how quilt makers lowered the contrast between light and dark elements, allowing greater color interaction. This would be a really good example of that. This is a quality that interested Pilgrim and Roy the most. Okay. She talks a little bit about that. So you can see, like, I don't want to just read this, and she kind of goes into detail about specific things that I don't want to read if that's not the actual quote you're looking at. But this is what she's talking about and what Gerald Roy talks about. And Susan's right. There's a talk on YouTube where he goes through he and Paul's like collecting mentality and their sort of philosophy on it. But there's high contrast in these like sort of balloon shapes, these round shapes. You've got like, dark blue and white up there in the top row, third from the left. But it is a very saturated in color quilt, isn't it? I mean, there's sort of a hue, like a value that's the same across the yellow and that deep turquoise, the royal blue, the brown. It's not blue and white. It's very, very it's saturated. It's got a lot of deep color, like rich color, and that is what they were looking for. This is a good example of exactly what they're looking for. It's just really kind of juicy. I don't know if that's fair. And this one, so this picture, I can't believe this quilt. I can't believe it. I've never seen this quilt. I've never seen it before. I've never seen anything like it before. And when Ms. Swope was talking about, iconoclast, or she said illusionistic at one point. And I wouldn't say this is illusionistic, but this is for sure like just completely off the wall, right? Like taking quilt patterns, and the maker was taking something that you would see, like the tree of life motif, the tree of life pattern, and just doing something completely wild with it. It's crazy. It's oversized. One tree of life or tree everlasting block blown up, and you know what? I have to say, it's a little crooked, right? And I love it more because it's like just these. I mean, am I right? It's just a little crooked, and the top of the quilt looks kind of fine. So, oh man, I mean, that's if I tried to make this quilt, it would not look this good. It would be, I don't know. It would probably be a UFO. Like I might not be able to finish it at all. So, it's wonderful. So, this is like it's another example, right? It's very saturated in color, gold, hunter green, red, very, very red. It's not blue and white. It's not green and red and white, not that high contrast kind of thing. It's different. It's got a different sort of chewiness about it, right? Okay. Let's see. Bands of color arranged in gradations. Okay. Well, she's talking about a few different quilts that I put this all together, and okay. No excuses. Their deep interest in color led Pilgrim and Roy to collect Amish quilts, which were among the earliest quilts to be accepted as art because of their strong formal qualities. Today it's understood that Amish quilt makers adopted many patterns from their Welsh neighbors. The colors they chose stand out among American quilts. Amish quilts reminded Roy of Alber's dismissal, Joseph Alber's dismissal of pat color schemes and seemingly pleasing color harmonies. Interesting. Albers argued that because perception of color was personal and always in flux, students needed to go beyond their color preferences and prejudices to understand it and use it effectively in their work. Okay, that's really cool. So Joseph Albers argued that because, and his wife Annie Albers was also an artist and she was a weaver and very interesting. Albers argued that because perception of color was personal and always in flux, I mean, quilters, we should think about this, right? Students needed to go beyond their color preferences and prejudices to understand it and use it effectively in their work. Wow. Hey, Beasley Richard. Hi. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I really don't like purple. And I don't particularly like green. There's nothing wrong with these colors. Great colors. I love, colors, thumbs up. But like, I just don't get down with purple. It's not my jam. And I can't really think of a whole lot of shades of purple that I would be very drawn to. I mean, it's purple. It's great, but I don't really like it. And like a Kelly green, like I'm just not drawn to a Kelly green, and some people it's just their favorite color, you know. But what Joseph Albers is saying, and like Joseph Albers knew a few things, you know, he was a pretty good artist, you know, he played with color, he knew some color stuff. Maybe I should lean into that, right? My color preferences and prejudices, you know, I need to go beyond them. Joseph Albers says go beyond them, so maybe I should go beyond them. Love the analogy. Okay, yes, good. Yes, Terrafaunin. Yes, it does. It does. It reminds me of Terrafaunin as well. New Elizabeth doesn't like orange or yellow, but you used them in a quilt recently, and you liked it. Carol loves purple. Well, Carol, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Okay. So this is obviously Hexie's. This is, yeah, I mean, it looks like... it's kind of got a crazy quilt kind of deal going on, but look at the color. I mean, it's really, really saturated, right? It's dark in a way. The hue, the value, the volume. Okay. I'm glad Beastly Richard is back here because I don't think Richard's a quilter. Maybe I'm wrong. I almost don't want you to tell us because I feel this is my story that I tell myself about you. You are on Twitch and you're a gamer. And you were just about to log off from your game that you were watching or something, and you saw like on your Twitch screen, you know, Quilt Church or something. And I don't know, you might be 14 years old. You might be 20 years old. You might be 60. I don't know how old you are. But I feel like, because the last time you came in, and I remember because your name is memorable, right? Beastly Richard. And you said like, I don't know what this is, but I'm strangely intrigued or something like that. And the reason I remember you is your name, but also because I was like, I don't think this person is supposed to be here. I really don't. I feel like you found us by accident, and I am yearning. I want so badly to like have people who didn't mean to be here just love being here. I want that to happen. I want like, I don't know if I want, 16-year-old gamer, guys coming in here. No, I do. Anybody. But it would be a little bit weird. But I would love for there to be people who find us by accident and realize that this community is amazing. And it is a community at this point. And I would like them to stay because they can't get enough of the quilts and the chat. So if that's not your narrative, please don't speak. Don't say it. But if it is, you can say that's exactly what happened. That's great. Okay, Samantha Saturday. I don't know that I've said hello to you yet. I'm not sure, but I'm really glad you're here. And a tip that Samantha learned is that colors only need to play well with their neighbors. I like that. That's excellent. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, you can have... Yeah, that reminds me of a tip that my mom and I would say a lot, is that every color in your quilt, every different color of fabric that you have needs to have a friend somewhere in the quilt. And I have some quilts here that I could show you that help teach that, right? But I have to save my show and tell quilts for my guild gigs because I don't want to just like give all that content, out because the guilds hire me to do stuff. So I don't want to show the quilts on my Twitch. But this quilt that we're looking at right here, this is a great example. That this will teach us the lesson that my mom taught me and that I share with others. Broadchurch. Oh, okay. Hey, we just learned about Richard. He has a strong interest in design. He has a laser cutter and does paper craft and etches and box design with. Oh, a laser cutter he uses in his paper craft and etches and box design. Welcome, Richard. I'm glad you're here. I think you should make a quilt. And I'm not kidding. And no one in this chat will be kidding when they tell you you should make a quilt. Okay, bye, Brendan. We'll see you at social. We'll see you at social tomorrow. We're going to sew together. Okay, well, Samantha's new here. Welcome, Samantha. I'm glad you've come to my lectures. So, Marianne, I like that you said it's a broad church because I just think that, it's funny. Like, it's all ladies. Okay. So a friend. So you want to have a friend. If you have a yellow, say, in your quilt, and this is for scrap quilts mostly. Like this is kind of what we talk about when we talk about scrap quilts, because a scrap quilt, if you throw in like all of the scraps, if you don't do any sort of selection or curating, you could say, if you just kind of throw it all in there, it's what I call a kitchen sink scrap quilt, and those have their charm and they can be great, and that's great. But if you want a scrap quilt to have a bit more cohesion, in my experience, it's a cool thing to do to make sure each of the colors that you have in your quilt have a friend somewhere else. So in this, it just brings things together. Okay. So if you are making this quilt, you have like some yellow in one of those double wedding rings. Then, okay, bye, Marianne. Bye. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you. Always. If you have a bit of yellow, have it appear somewhere else, right, in the quilt. So there's a little bit of yellow up in the right-hand corner of this quilt. And then you have some rings toward the bottom, and then another bit of yellow down at the bottom. And so what it does is, if you just had one, just imagine if that one yellow ring up at the top right-hand corner was the only yellow in the quilt. It would really stand out. The quilt would become all about that yellow ring, right? And maybe that's what you want. Maybe it isn't. You would really want to be intentional about that, otherwise it's going to really distract people from what you're doing. So from what you want to do with the quilt, there's black in this quilt, and it appears several places. It's not in every ring, but it's in enough rings where it's got that cohesive, feel to it. Same thing with, look at the blue. This is a great quilt to talk about this. The blue and white ring up at the top, almost at the end there, second from the right. That blue and white appears one other place, and that's in the middle of the quilt there, right? And there's green. There's green on the right-hand side in the second row, and then there's green up, that turquoisey green. I can use my little pointer here. It's not the same green, this is a bit of an outlier, but there's this green tone down here, aqua at least. And this kind of burnt brown kind of stuff. You've got a brown over here. Obviously it doesn't have to be exact, but there's also no prints. This rule goes for printed fabrics as well, I've found. If you have lots of solids and you throw in just one printed fabric, it may be fine, and that's maybe what you want, but but it'll really make that printed fabric stand out in a huge way. Hey, Pensacola. Oh, great. I'm so glad. So Amy, okay, Amy from Pensacola, I'm so glad that you came in, and I'm glad that you took a break. You took a dinner break, and you've been listening while you put together a quilt top. That is a great way to watch this show, or a great way to take in this show, is to be working on what you're doing and listen in the background, tune in a little bit, go get some dinner, eat a chip. I have been talking so much. It's a show where I talk, but I have not been having any wine or eating any chips, and I don't know. I'm excited, so I can't just yet, but soon I will. And it's okay. Ooh, I've been on for 2 hours, so I'm going to keep going with this, and we'll see if I get a second wind. I feel pretty good, but if I go until 1 a.m., I might stop making sense. Okay, maybe I'll make more sense. Anyway, so if you put in one color in your scrap quilt, try to have that color appear somewhere else. Same thing with a print, or if you're using lots of prints, if you put in one solid fabric into a quilt that's full of printed fabrics, that solid is really going to chunk out. I've done it. It's happened to me. And the same thing goes, and another thing, for small scale and large scale prints. I made a quilt once. I have a picture of it somewhere, that I feel it was not successful. And most of my quilts I've liked, and if you really hate something, you don't have to finish it. You can abandon ship if you really hate what you're working on and it's not working. It's okay to just leave it as a UFO, or give it to someone who wants to finish it if they like it. But I finished this quilt, and it was a 1,000 pyramid, and I put some different, it was red, and I put some different large prints around in a few of the pyramids, and it didn't look good. It just didn't look good. It didn't work. And it was because I had used small scale prints and solids. And then in a few different places, I used large scale prints because I thought it would look cool. But really, it was just distracting. If I had used more large scale prints in the quilt, if I had incorporated more large scale prints into the scrap quilt, they wouldn't have stuck out so much. But I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn it the hard way. Beastly Richard and the others you've shown. Okay, so this is interesting. Richard says, your quilt here, and by the way, I did not make this quilt, but you might not mean that. And the others you've shown relate to the book on camouflage I have through creating and breaking pattern. Interesting. You've got circles with an overall pattern with different hues and colors, and that's a very camouflage thing. Hey, that's really interesting. Have you ever seen the digital patterns that the U.S. Marine use as camouflage? I have. I have seen them. They're very interesting. Same principle, different idea. Love it. Quilting politic, organic. Love that. And Pablo Picasso. Interesting. Interesting ideas from people like Pablo Picasso on how a harlequin blends in. Yeah, there's early camouflage. It's very weird. Black and white. Early camouflage was literally black and white outfits. The pictures of it, they're really crazy. That's very interesting. Camouflage. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, never thought about it before. This is why we like to bring in people from the outside, because they bring in new ideas. Okay, I mean different ideas that I hadn't thought about camouflage in quilts. I love it. I'm interested. I love this quilt. I mean, how can you not, right? Let me see what I can tell you. Okay, so yeah, right, Michelle? I mean, are you kidding? Like, there's camouflage, right? And there's like optical illusions, which have a relationship. But this thing like shimmers, right? When you look at it, doesn't it? It's just dazzling. And what's interesting too is like the pink and the green and the yellow and the brown. Like I just don't know that I would ever grab these colors out of the fabric stash, because how could they possibly look good? But they look amazing. And that little thing, okay, this thing, by the way, my little goal thing up there, it's broken. It doesn't work. And it's covering up the quilt. Okay, sorry you had to look at that thing. Yeah, it really doesn't. Yeah, it does sparkle, doesn't it? And then what's interesting too is that brown might have been a different color, actually, because sometimes when you see that sort of dull brown color, it's because the dye, it was a fugitive dye, right? That's what they call it when the dye isn't color fast and it fades. It does look a bit faded here. So that's possible, but it's very evenly faded. It's so evenly faded, it makes me unsure. I'm not positive that it would be that, that it would be so evenly faded if it was like a red or something. It's possible. But yeah, like red and pink, even whatever color it was in the background, like red and pink and green and gold, like gold. I just don't know. Pink and brown is a surprisingly good combination, Log Cabin Girl. Exactly. Oh, I'm so glad that Sue John asked. I'm so glad that you asked about the bottom. So that is a shape that you find in older quilts, sometimes very older quilts. You have Calamanco quilts and like whole cloth coverlets and things that are shaped like this. And it is brilliant. It is for the bedposts. The quilt is cut out on the sides to make room for, yeah, exactly, Homesmaker. It's notched like that to lay flat on the corner of the bed. And I mean, look, why did we stop doing that? Our beds haven't changed, you know? I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, why did it change? I mean, sometimes you just don't want to do that, I guess. You want a full square quilt. But I have not seen a quilt this shape in a contemporary show ever. Well, why not? I know. Let's do this. Engineering, exactly. I mean, sometimes you have especially if you have a big quilt for the bed, if it's really thick, you have to crunch it down into the bed, and then it crunches up the quilt and it looks bad and nothing is, everything's chaos. So you should you should do it. You should make a quilt like this. I think it'd be awesome. Someone should bring it back. Somebody bring it back. Yeah. Quilts are good for pretty much everywhere. Oh, okay. So okay. I think I've got this one right here. Okay, well, so before Pilgrim's untimely death in 1996, the collectors began acquiring quilts that went beyond traditional patterns in some way and spoke to the singularity of the quilt makers, most of whom remain unidentified. Pilgrim and Roy's collection, block of the month. Mass manufacturing bed. So Samantha says, I wonder if it has to do with mass manufacturing bed textiles. The odd shape might be more costly to reproduce. That is brilliant. That is a brilliant idea. I mean, a great theory. It's a brilliant theory. Miss Priss. Hey, Miss Priss. Oh, wait. No, I missed some stuff here. Okay. Wait. This is great. The reason I went with no footboard. Okay. Liz Porter made a pink and brown quilt that was spectacular, maybe from a block exchange. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I remember some of Liz's quilts from block exchanges because we did episodes of the show on public television with those quilts, and she does brown and pink like nobody's business. Liz Porter and brown and pink, and forget it. She's great. Do you see as many footboards lately? Okay, so what is this footboard business? I think Miss Priss you're very funny because binding corners is annoying. 1000%. I would avoid that shape just so I didn't have to turn corners on my binding. I really miss those chats. But yeah, Samantha, I think it's good. It's a pain to make a thing with a angle in it, right? Okay. Let's do a block of the month. Oh, you mean on this show? You know what? I would love that if that happened. I am very bad at organizing those things, but if there's a Sunday, maybe in the Sunday social, we could all work on something together. Yeah. Hey, that sounds good. Okay. Pilgrim and Roy's quilt collection stands apart in its conception and development. A collection that took shape in ways they could not have anticipated on the day they encountered Mrs. Herrick's log cabin quilt more than 50 years ago. Like the colorful links in the double wedding ring quilt that we just saw, the Pilgrim and Roy collection embodies not only their collecting vision, but their deep and broad connections in the quilt world and these extraordinary works of art. She has something. Sounds like fireworks. She's got something about this particular quilt. A number of the quilts in the Pilgrim Roy collection illustrate how quilt makers lowered the contrast between dark and light elements, allowing greater color interaction. Something's going on out there. Do you hear that? That's crazy. A collaboration quilt. That sounds good. I don't know what's going on out there. I think it's fine. But they're interrupting the show. Okay. In the Yellow Baskets quilt, this quilt, made in the 1920s or 30s, probably in upstate New York, white surrounds yellow basket motifs. Because yellow is the lightest primary color, or has the highest value, it is closest to white. And according to Gerald Roy, is the hardest color with which to work. Agreed. Do you agree that yellow is the hardest color to use? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that yellow is the hardest color to use. I think so. I think it's the hardest color. The basket motifs in most quilts of this pattern are much darker, or one of a lower value than their white ground. But in this example, the white ground and yellow motifs interact on the same visual plane. That's true. What a great insight. That's great. That's such a great insight. Yellow and white. Well, if you want to use yellow, put it with white. Very interesting. Lots of ones in the chat. Same. Okay, just a few more quilts. Oh yeah, great. That looks very contemporary. I don't know. I don't have, the years on these quilts. I just grabbed them quickly before the show began. But that looks, that quilt is not hard to make. I mean, look, let's analyze this just real quick. And by the way, speaking of yellow, do you see how yellow has friends? This is a big scrap quilt, but it's got friends. Interesting. Pink has friends. Everybody's got friends. But look, okay, so it takes a lot of work with your design wall, or if you're laying things out on the floor, it takes work in that way. But it looks complicated. Okay, it's a little complicated, but look at Robin's nest. Robin's working on a yellow and gray quilt now. Yellow and gray, very good color combo, very popular with the modern quilt set, modern quilters. So, okay, so here's a block, right? Like I would probably put this together like that. Now, it's super complicated, but it's not hard. That's the thing. I mean, making your light and darks turn the right way, like that would take some time. It would take some thought, but it's just half square triangles and 4-patch. I mean, it's just, I hear people coming in. I think there's an Airbnb in the unit above us, and there are these loud men there right now. Don't leave me. I'm doing a quilt show, gentlemen. Don't play loud music. Anyway, so I think it's just this, right? It's just these. That's how I would do it. It seems to make sense because you're turning these things every which way. But I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I don't think you could sew it together diagonally. I mean, you could make like this. You could make this corner piece, by making that block and then sewing on these edges and then attaching it to the big thing, Yeah. I hope you're following that you can see that little box, but I don't know. I think I would just make my half square triangles and my patches. It would take a long time. I think, to make sure you didn't turn them the wrong way. And yeah. And even if you take a long time to look at it and get it right, you will definitely sew things the wrong way on some of those rows. Probably, for sure. Okay, couple more quilts. Amazing. I think this one was hanging at the New England Quilt Museum. This exhibit that they had of their quilts, it either toured in 2014 into 2015 and beyond, or they've had many other exhibits around of their quilts, the Pilgrim and Roy collection, because it's just a very popular collection. But the New England Quilt Museum had an exhibit up of their quilts too. Let me go back. Susan said, yeah. Oh, D. Marie. Yeah, it's split 9-patch. Sorry. Split 9-patch. That's what it is. Yeah. Thank you. I forgot that it has like a name. 3x3. Yeah. I think so. I think 3x3. Good eye. And Susan said she'd make a block that had 4 light corners and the dark in the middle, not set on point. I agree. Why set something on point if you don't have to? Okay, this is just great. This is an interesting thing with the sawtooth border around the edge. You see that? You see it? It comes up. Whoop. And then an Amish, tumbling blocks, classic, really deep, saturated color. And then I think we're back to that. Or did I have that twice? Yeah. Okay. Back. Well, folks, this has been great. I am grateful that you came to the show. I really, really care about your enjoyment. And if you want to email me, twitch@maryfons.com. And I mean, if I ask for feedback, I have to like brace myself. But I think I should. I think I should ask for feedback. If you you're the OG crowd, you're the original viewers, and it means a lot to me. And you're not a focus group, that's for sure. But you're here as this thing is, becoming. Well, it's the most fun thing I've done in years. It just is. It's just, I just love it so much. And, but you can see like over the weeks, like things are kind of shaping up to have like a, there's kind of an order of operations. I kind of go through some stuff and then we talk about the quilt on my desktop and things like that. But if I should slow down on things, if I should talk slower, little tweaks, I'd be very interested to hear them. And you can email me, twitch@maryfons.com, and tell me. And I will see, good, Samantha. And I will see you, I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, sewing. So 10 a.m. tomorrow, grab your project and let's hang out. Because that'll be really interesting, too, to see, like, if that's fun and if you like it. So thank you so much for coming. And I'm gonna, this shit's awesome. Good. Yeah. Okay. All right. Love you all and take care and be good. Don't be too good, but be good. And I'll see you at the social tomorrow.